This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio. Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Joan and Janet are subtle energy empaths who navigate consciousness. Their passion is to support you in your evolution. As consciousness, we are all one. One mind, one heart, free of all limitations. Experience this reality with us and discover how it can make a difference in your daily living. Join us in a state of grace as we explore, with warmth and humor, this thing we call life. Now, here are Joan Newcomb and Janet Barrett.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your co-hosts, Joan Newcomb, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington, and my partner, Janet Barrett's coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
We have a live show today, and if you'd like to join us in the conversation, then direct line to talk to us is 1-844-390-8255. So that number again is 1-844-390-8255. And we have a great guest with us today. Her name is Veronica Entwistle. She is a gifted, high-level intuitive and energy counselor and host of Paradigm Shifters radio show. She's also the author of My Near-Life Experiences, How Do I Know When I Am Really Me? It dances on the edge of reality and mysticism. And Veronica is an explorer of the new emerging humanities, and she is passionate about consciousness for our planet and beyond. Veronica uses her gift of intuition and rapport with realms of consciousness, loving guides and angels to create universal understandings within the murky stew of our experiences. Originally from Canada, she straddles the LA, Pacific, and dimensional realms. And Veronica's website is veronicaentwistle.com.
Wow. Oh, and this will be fun. Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff to offer. And we were guests on her show a couple weeks ago, so we are looking forward to continuing our conversation. So what do we need to let our people know, Joan?
Yes, so we'll be, Veronica will bring you on in just a second. We're gonna get out some contact information. We've got some things coming up next week, and then we're gonna dive deep into consciousness. So my website is joan-newcomb.com, and I have a couple of important events coming up. I am doing a meetup, rediscovering your life purpose and regaining your passion, and that is going to be in Tacoma this Friday at 2 o'clock at the Cutters Point Coffee, which used to be Forza's on Pearl. And I'll be talking all about the urges that we're having now to do something more meaningful in our lives. And you know, we might be facing fears about quitting our secure job to pursue our dreams, and I'll be encouraging people how to do that.
Right. Yeah.
How
From
about
a
you?
Really good space, right?
Yes, exactly. create a heart space there. How about you, Janet?
Let me see. What we've got going on here in Portland, Oregon is I have my weekly meetup groups here at my home where we have conscious conversations and consciousness playground, and I want to invite people that are local in the area to come by. We do Tuesday evenings, Thursday afternoons, and we have just the most marvelous time. People are just having remarkable insights into themselves and in shifting their awareness of where they are in their life. So please join us, and we've got for everybody who's a listener, our free conference call is coming up next month. Next week, I'm sorry.
Next week,
so we do it the third Thursday of the month, and for 1 hour, and that's for all of you, wherever you are. You can join in that phone call conversation. It's a small, intimate group from wherever you might be. And I love the contradictions there. And we really hone and work on accessing heart space, feeling comfortable with that, knowing what that is for you, the individual. So, please consider joining us, and you contact us at Conscious with Joan and Janet gmail.com and find out all that information.
Right, that's Thursday, July 21st at 7 p.m. You can also sign up on my website, joan-newcomb.com. And really excited to let folks know that on Saturday, July 23rd, we are at the Boeing Conscious Wellness Expo, and that is from 10 to 4 p.m. at Kent Commons in Kent, Washington. Jen and I are going to have a table, and we're both going to be doing sessions. So it's another opportunity. So if you live within the Northwest, you can come see us in person. And if you're from beyond the Northwest or can't make it to Boeing, come join us on the Conscious Conference call.
Lots of we always have a nice time there, meet nice people, share with other, intuitives and, people doing all this kind of work to help you get an edge on life and what that's all about for each of us.
So supporting the acceleration of consciousness.
Yeah.
And a quick reminder before we bring Veronica on is that you can also have other ways to contact us. You can join us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. You can follow us on Twitter at Joan and Janet. You can follow me on Twitter at Joan Newcomb. And you can also subscribe to us on YouTube. I have a YouTube, and so does the show. So go to my website and find out more. And drum roll, please.
Yeah, we've got something going on here. Let's go for it.
Yes. So I'm really excited to welcome Veronica to the show. Just a real simpatico and
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have her.
She has great experiences, lots of wisdom and experience, and she loves to share it with people. So, hi, Veronica.
Hi, both of you. I'm so happy to be talking to you. I listened carefully to our interview last night while I was sort of getting excited about coming on the air with you.
Sort of getting excited. Okay.
Sort of getting, well, I don't want to get so over the top I can't even make sense, right? But I am in the Pacific Northwest at this point. So, but I can't make it to Kent because I'm also, presenting on Saturday night in Everett, Washington.
Oh, okay. See, lots of things go on here in the Northwest. So
yeah,
that's good. So what do we got, Joan? We want to get into, what is it you want to talk about this week with us, Veronica? Where do we want to start? And then
Well, I think the rising, this is going to sound really simple and very thumbnail, but I just am very fascinated about the rising of consciousness, how it is rising throughout the world and throughout the universes. And I was kind of musing going, I'd love to chat about how it's in evidence. One of the people I interviewed recently, and you might have interviewed her as well, her name is Colleen Morrow.
Oh, yes, we've had her on the show.
Well, and I loved, and she's not the only one, but she's one who talked about the rising consciousness over eons and eons, right? And that sort of set me into an enjoyable cogitation because I'm always watching in the universes and in people that we are handling higher frequencies than ever before. And, talking to certain people who come apart, we have to. You talked about leaving your secure job. Well, part of that is in response to the rising fields and frequency where we can't stay in the same tombs the same way as we did before.
Yes, that's true.
And the other thing you talked about, and I grabbed the word security, I went, wow, isn't that a word that's got a continuum on it right now? Like, what is security? It's nothing like it was before. And how do people access what is a new version of security? I kind of see everything on a continuum. So that I'm talking all over the place, but basically it's about the rising fields and frequency and the announcement of a different consciousness possibility for all of us.
Well, I know Joan and I certainly track all that, and that's one reason we offer this show is to help give listeners out there a new language, a new sense of self, and make it as easy, though, chaos and all that ensues, to think that it could be easier is really the challenge, in understanding that there is methodology.
Well, also that chaos is really crucial for change.
Right. And
dark chaos and light chaos. We're getting
see, that is a judgment word too. For me, from my perspective, that is, if I take that out of it and just allow it to be an unfolding, then it doesn't have the charge on when I use hear the word chaos, to me that's got lots of stuff about it. And so if I use the word unfolding, that everything is unfolding in the best way possible, because that's how I view my experience as consciousness here, then I can get rid of some of that drama that's might be playing out otherwise. So well, how do you notice that, Joan? Because you're seeing that with people.
I am, and I'm intrigued by Veronica's use of dark chaos and light chaos, and I kind of reverse perspective, and what it is that our physical bodies and our physical realms are able to handle higher frequencies, and I identify that we are consciousness coming more into form. So, we are the ultimate, highest frequency coming more into our dense bodies, but our bodies are experiencing it as this sort of breakdown and breakthrough, this acceleration of vibration. And, yes, just like, a high vibration, like an earthquake, destroys the mortar of the bricks. That's kind of what we're feeling. Everything we identify with as solid and real is what's disintegrating. What's your take on this, Veronica?
Well, I think you're saying it the same way. Sorry about the word chaos, but to me it helps because I've always known that chaos is the predicator, or, you have to go into chaos in order to change, which to me means you got to let go of the way things are supposed to be. And allow yourself to move with your own deeper purpose, your deeper knowing, and so on, to get in step with potentials in new frequencies that are coming through, or if that makes sense. So I see it as a really healing process, the lighter chaos. The old chaos is just complete chaos, right? This stuff, I think, is fairly purposeful and very manageable. And if people begin to, and I try and teach this too, where if people begin to understand that there is greater potential in it, instead of like, oh my God, everything's falling apart. As I was listening on today to a news thing about oils and how different economies are falling apart because of oil. And I was watching intuitively, and I'm going, why don't they bring in huge reports about new ways of creating energy that are beginning to be kind of abundant all over the world and can be a developer of economy, right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. And I want to ask you more about that, but we need to take a quick break. So I want to let folks know that you're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We are talking with Veronica Entwistle, and we have to take a quick break right now, and we will be right back talking with lots more.
Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs. Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we are talking with Veronica Entwistle all about the acceleration of consciousness is one way to put it.
I think so. Well, how about we access heart space for all of us? Because I have a feeling a lot of stuff will show up in the conversation.
The conversation will totally change.
And that's a good place for us all to be. So Veronica, I don't know what you might call it, but we call it heart-centered awareness. And we're going to take a few minutes here and allow all of us to access that state. And then we'll continue our discussion from there, if that's all right with you. And, we'll see what shows up in the incredible depth that consciousness is. So everybody, no matter what you're doing or where you're doing it, give it up. Take a moment with us, the part of you that can pay attention, because there is no time or space, and we don't know when you might be listening with us. So just allow yourself to relax. So, and in order to do that, the shoulders want to come up. So shrug those shoulders and then drop them with some awareness. And as you do that, just feel yourself descend. There seems to be a sense of descension here into what we would call heart. And heart's got 3 definitions to it when we use it. So heart, first appreciation is the physical heart. So allow yourself to recognize and be joined and one with that beat. The deep appreciation that you are alive, that this is the biggest game in town. And bring awareness to it. And that every moment that it's beating, you're still connected. So from this place. And then allow your awareness to deepen into the second meaning of heart, which is emotional terrain. So allow yourself to just notice your emotional terrain, territory, whatever you might want to call it. Notice that you might have more than one kind of emotion running. We are fascinating creatures, and being able to experience our emotion is the gift of being. So just notice that. Don't judge it. Just notice what might be going on. And allowing yourself that moment of awareness, acknowledgement happens. Appreciation happens. There you go. And notice that the breath is deepened. And the third meaning of heart, the core essence of all. And this is where all of us are one. This is where we're in the infinite sea of potential, where everything is just bits and pieces of information, photons of light, biophotons that have a little bit of mass to it, resonances and frequencies, vibrations, and information, all falling into patterns. And those patterns are what we experience as human, and consciousness as human. And so in the infinite sea of potential, it's before those formed, and that they can take form and go out of form and go back to form. So energy and potential working together. So as consciousness, there is no time, there is no space. So all that we think is, was, might be, seems like, assumes, just all kind of falls apart here. So just notice. No, it seems I can feel some, almost, if I'm going to call it emotions, like anxiety. So just if you acknowledge that, whatever that feeling is, consciously or unconsciously, what if we could just relax? What if it could just soften? What if being human and consciousness is human is this wonderful, intricate dance that's shifting? And it is full of pleasure, and it is full of light, and it is full of life. And as we explore with our friend Veronica here, these places and spaces, as we ride the waves of consciousness, Just notice. Okay, there's a breath. What you got, Joan?
Well, I feel, I love it because you lead us into heart space, and I just feel I'm on a raft while I'm going down the river and I'm holding on to a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
But I am curious about the anxiety that you mentioned, and I'm aware that all three of us in the Northwest right now, and I have been detecting on and off for, a good 6 to 9 months, a level of anxiety that I have begun to wonder is regionalized based on just people I've interacted with. Unless it is collective, I can see, actually, with all this crazy stuff going on in the world, I can see it also being collective, and that our bodies are interpreting it from a very survival and black and white. So, we think our bodies think they're dying when really we're stepping into something we've never experienced before. Well, Veronica, what's your take on all this?
I was just going to say something very similar to what you said, and that is that if I can, and I really appreciated the meditation there, Janet, really softened my heart, but also brought my body into kind of more of a relaxed state. But, and anyway, I just want to say there's a lot of people that I work with as well, or a lot of things going on out there, which are sort of pulling apart what I call security, whatever kinds of security. And I think there is there's an intrinsic anxiety going in amongst a lot of the people that I know. And I also wonder this, and you two who are great seers or purveyors of wisdom would be able to see if this is true, because I think that these higher frequencies coming through us tend to resonate with anxiety rather than, say, depression, And I think that might be part of it as well, because people don't feel, and I don't. Today, this is just a little aside, I had 2 crises. One was with the bank and one was with a car. And in both cases, and I thought of you stepping sideways, in both cases, I turned it around and they became they worked out, right? Problems turned around, but I had become kind of anxious at what felt like an unruly. I thought civilization is so unruly, and you got the frequencies coming through the computers, and I got this online stuff. So I'm part of the anxiety, but I don't think that was a unique anxiety, and it worked out well,
Okay, so my take, that was, when we talk about frequencies and higher frequencies, and then you were describing the anxiety, and we'll call it that. It doesn't have to be that, because what it is it's an energy, but it has a different resonance than when you mentioned depression. And depression hits much lower. And so around the heart is where the anxiety can be sensed. And we're only calling it that because it's just a difference in, it's a fluctuation. I know when I work with people that seem to experience what they're going to call anxiety, it's really the awareness that something different is happening. And if I relabel it excitement, what happens? When I relabel it in a way that empowers me, because that parietal lobe in that brain is pain and anxiety. So it's tracking physical experience and it's tracking emotional experience, and that's where that is in the parietal lobe in the brain. If I articulate it to something's different and I encode that into, ooh, something's different, as opposed to, ooh, something's different, it makes a total change on what I'm going to call that.
Yes.
And we are all feeling this, something's different, but we aren't necessarily trained to think of that in a positive way. So we're going to call it this and we're going to call it that. And I think that's what I'm catching about this place. What about you, Joan? How are you observing that?
Yes, I like that idea of, and I've used this in the past, but reframing it as excitement rather than fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as little kids, we liked roller coaster rides. I don't like them anymore, but that could be a good reference that it's exciting. Something coming up is brand new and exciting as opposed to I'm going to die.
Well, but then, look at when people go, I'm going to die. Oh, I lived through it. And it's all in that same space.
Right.
Right. So it's a good point you're making there about that. Yeah. So if it's just energy, ladies, and something different is happening, how do we encode that in a way that's useful? What do we offer those listening?
First, observing it is really helpful, and that's what you're doing. Yeah. Just look at it, because people are having so many anxiety attacks, as they call them. Mm-hmm. And often it just takes being with them and seeing and knowing them, and like you say, centering into the heart for them to move through that, right? Yeah. And it's like reorganizing the vibrational ADD, I guess.
Well, when you call it the panic, you can feel the constriction that takes place. And so as we undo that and we go, just a minute, breathe, go back to that. Okay. And because I think we flip into that state just so automatically, we're not even noticing it. So if we each, we don't necessarily have our days, our society set up to be able to stop and the value of it. We're still bringing that into business. We're still bringing that into our everyday, the only time you stop is when you sit on the toilet and, you're reading,
take a book or a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we make it okay to stop, as we make it okay to notice, something's got me tweaked here. And I think sometimes the worst kind of tweaking is when you know you're being tweaked and you don't know from what. So if we just go, I'm being tweaked. Okay.
And don't judge it.
What happens then?
I know the thing that, I'm jumping in on this, I know the thing that mystifies me is when I'm experiencing somebody else's.
Yes.
It's not mine, but and having been a mother, kids and husbands get in on the same vibration. It's like inside my body, and I know it's not mine.
So they say that as an empath, they say the hardest place is with your own kids and your close partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are their energy a lot of the time. Well, I don't know. It's been a long lesson for me to be able to parse things at the right time so it doesn't become annoying,
Yeah.
But back to the anxiety, I'll bet you that's taking that on too, right? So I'm going, okay, got to look at that too.
Well, so if we offer our listeners the awareness that you may be tracking two kinds. You may be tracking your own sense of self and where you are within yourself and society, etc., and your family, and whether they're husband or whether they're children, and you're holding that awareness. So right there, does that make a difference? Does it make a difference to say, okay, this is mine and that's that. And if you move that out there, does that start to make a difference with your own sense of whatever it is you're experiencing? I think we are such a cumulative creature of experiences because that's what consciousness is. It doesn't judge and it doesn't have any boundaries. It just has experience. It's up to us to hone our skills as individuals sharing this collective experience. And we want to be wise about it. So first you have to know what you're doing.
Well, I find it fascinating sometimes to imagine, and I see them, of course, and you do too, I'm sure, watching waves of frequencies coming in through the collective. So sometimes in the middle of a certain kind of feeling, I muse on that, and that gives me not only peace, but enjoyment, because I'm learning something. So even if it feels awfully anxiety producing, I feel like it's a product of getting somewhere in terms of consciousness and in terms of evolution. I'm big on the idea of we could evolve.
Yes.
Into a loving species.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I've noticed along those lines is when, things waft through my awareness, it's a revisitation and I get a chance to behave differently. So I had someone contact me the other day and I shared it with Janet because I immediately wanted a different response, but I waited and I was able to come back miraculously with a really loving and neutral response. And I went, wow, that is totally unlike me. So,
why was she judging you or was she?
It was, they were carrying on an argument from like months ago, and it was supposed to be an apology, but it was the most accusatory apology I've ever experienced.
Oh wow. So how did you handle it? Because I've got a potential one coming up and I haven't written the letter yet.
Well, they wrote the letter.
They're probably not uncommon, Right.
Exactly. Well, what I decided was it wasn't necessary to go back over point by point. I wasn't necessary. And I mean, they had said water under the bridge and then said all the things I'd done wrong. And I said, that's right. Water under the bridge. No hard feelings. I wish you and your family well.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. And that is Joan upgraded, right?
Exactly.
That almost has a judgment in it, upgrades.
But it's kind of, we are
we want upgrades. I want upgrades like mad. I went for the highest level one time. I said to this woman, oh, when I was talking to you about 10 minutes ago, I said blah, blah, blah. And I think it felt like a slap. And she said and I said, I'm sorry. And she said, it did. Now let me tell you what else you've done. So I didn't try that tactic for a while, It was my attempt to be upgraded. How am I doing so far?
Well, I think maybe it's all the unfolding.
Well, I think there's another thing is like, how do we listen? And I interrupted you to say, how do we listen? So but you know what I mean? It's like we don't hear each other. We hear each other defensively or we hear each other, reactively of some sort, right?
Well, we hear each other through our filters.
Right.
And what are you said for?
Or projections.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, our slides.
Yeah, our biases, they are active and alive in us. And I think what I would like to get back to was with Veronica, when you were describing those waves of consciousness that you were tracking, and what Joan was saying after that was what I was struck by was all of our openness to experiencing what we experience and not limiting it. Joan can track emotionally like there's nobody's business, and you're tracking consciousness and that chaotic and the anxiety and those different kind of things. And I don't hear any fear about it. I don't hear any judgment about it. I just hear a willingness to experience, and in that way we kind of serve the collective. When that's why we're on the vanguard and the cutting edge of being, is because we're in more of a neutral place about what is
what
offered.
It's supposed to be. Yeah.
What there is out there. Cause I'm totally about consciousness experiencing, consciousness evolving, and, it upgrades itself too, right? It takes all of us and hands us some opportunity, and life is about opportunity, and Joan was talking about it was a new opportunity.
I want to jump in on something because Veronica, I heard you say it's supposed to be, and I'm maybe missed a bit with, is it supposed to be as if we're listening through our expectations, or is it supposed to be as meant to be?
I don't remember the context, but my way, because I'm thinking about anyway.
Yeah, you were ahead, and Janet was still rowing down the river too. So I'm back at the last rock, going,
"Get that oar out here, get it out."
That rock.
Well, I think when I say it's supposed to be, it's like I think a lot of us really get anxious, if that's the right word, when things aren't what they're supposed to be.
Right.
But they're
supposed to be. Expectation or something.
But it's something way down, sometimes in our DNA, sometimes our cellular structure. And to me, what's really exciting, the really exciting part is that's what's coming up for release. And hopefully in our lifetimes, at a rate that we can really see a massive, huge shift of loving one another. That's what I think. That's how I take it.
Yeah.
I see that is what is happening, because to me, consciousness is the essence of love. It's pure love, and we at our essence are consciousness. Therefore, we are love, and more of us is coming in through our physical experience. So there's more light, there's more love coming into the world, and the people that are having the toughest times are the ones who are used to sitting in the dark. So the light's hurting their eyes.
Yeah, and they want to hang on to what they have sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure in your work you deal with people and help them unhook themselves from the rocks they're clinging to. Right?
No, I'll drown. Actually,
you have to remember you can swim.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do a lot of playing with people so that they can shift to parallel universes where they're already having a different experience.
Yeah, that's a fun idea. I've been playing with that since we last spoke.
Yeah. It's good stuff. So, look listen how quiet it is.
Very quiet at that.
It's so quiet out there. Now, it's just not us chattering or commenting on what we're noticing. It is that, what if there was the absence of judgment for all of us that are on this particular frequency right now? What if there was an appreciation? And notice that the chatter stops.
Yes, the noise.
Yeah, that the sacred becomes very apparent here. And we have a comfortability with being there. And we want our listeners to experience that also. And that in what might seemingly be an uproar out there, in here, is quiet.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing all this. This is just marvelous. So for those of you that are listening, notice how you feel about that. What would it be like if you understood this was your truth? And that clamor out there that is so up and down and yanks our chain is really just clamor. Because we are creatures of contrast. We love contrast. We love drama. And any work I do with anyone who's got any degree of awareness, the first thing they'll admit is they don't like to be bored.
That's true for me.
Yeah. Sign me up for that one.
Well, I think we get inured to background noise. And so I lived for almost 30 years, gave birth to my children and raised them on Vashon Island, and it's got its population of 10,600. Nice. It has, like no stoplights, and it's like being back in Maybury, Andy Griffith's Maybury, and it took a bit to be able to move to the mainland, because there is constant noise. And if you're raised in the city, you don't notice that vibratory level. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think we become, especially if you're attached to the internet, that carries a level of noise with it 24/7 as well, that you've suddenly got the worldwide noise going on. Mm-hmm. We're not used to being in our own vibration of silence. And I think that's what we three have achieved here today is we've gone to that radio station. It's not AM, it's FM, it's a clearer channel kind of thing.
Definitely. Well, and I think that's why there is what we call a retreat, that people out in the country probably don't need retreats like people in the city need a retreat. Some way to sort out the constant bombardment of information that we are always tracking, whether we're conscious of it or not. And we're just developing the dial to resonate to different sounds and frequencies, right? And putting control into something that maybe seemingly isn't controllable. So we're creating that placement that says, oh, okay, now I'm going to participate a little differently here. So for those that feel overwhelmed or feel like they don't have their feet under them, you do. You're just not aware that you do. So just bring your awareness more present and see what you notice. There we go. Yeah. I think people are very tired. I think they're tired of all the stimulus and they don't get real good rest. That fight or flight or survive mechanism that operates in all of us. And so that has to be upgraded too. That has to have.
Schedules never stop these days, do they?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. No. Oh.
It's nice. My body loves what you're doing. It's going, whoa.
Well, we had Ann and her whales on a couple of weeks ago, and whoa, that really took us deep.
Whale and dolphin energy.
Oh, yeah, that was really nice to have that awareness put in the field here for us. So there's the awareness that there is no judgment. Those are not creatures that we didn't sense any judgment. So everyone, as you go into this place, maybe that might create some, what do you mean there's no judgment?
You're wrong.
No judgment is good and judgment is bad.
We're playing with you, listeners.
Judgment is just terrible. Those people who judge are awful people.
I know.
We're just toying with you out there. So that is the delight of consciousness, is that it can laugh at itself. So let's see if we can find that lightness here. What if it's okay to feel lighthearted as we transition? Now there might be a thought for some. Okay.
I love to laugh. I think being funny about stuff is really helpful for all of us.
It is, isn't it? I just was looking at, Joan, you mentioned the internet and that constant bombardment that once you tap in, it's like there's no going back. There was a little clip that I posted on our sites and stuff this morning about how when one sings with someone else, their heartbeat goes the same.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
That was really neat, and it's like that's why
it's called synchronicity.
Yes, wonderful. And so, if we each had a tune in ourselves, and you don't even have to verbalize it, I think if you just allow yourself to hear your music and let that ripple out and see what happens, because something will come back, I'm sure.
And you've probably done that Sufi exercise, a very ancient one, where you sing your own name.
Ah, right.
Any tune you want. People really love that, and people are shocked at what it does to them as well.
Right. It's kind of like the drumming, how that gets this wonderful power and unification that goes on when you do that. And yes, and it was the word universe. Uni means one, and verse was song, I think. So we use this language all the time from an unaware place, and it's really nice sometimes to just really listen to what we're saying.
Yeah, vibrational bombs, so words are, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's hold this space and we can sing our names. I went to sing my name and I said my mother's by mistake. I'll have to meditate on that one.
But that would work too, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Sure.
Hey, my mother's dead, so she's with me all the time.
So much for being dead. They're very busy over there.
I just realized the ashes are looking at me right now. So I'm going to guesstimate that this is about time to take another break here. So we're going to hold the space. We're going to go for another commercial break, but stay tuned because you're listening to Conscious Conversations, and we are talking with Veronica Entwistle in a state of grace.
We're singing with Veronica.
Yeah. Whales and dolphins.
Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs. Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, and along here with Janet, and we are talking with Veronica Entwistle.
And we're singing with her.
We're singing. We've been singing our names.
Yeah.
Well, I want to let everyone know a little bit more about Veronica. She's an intuitive energy counselor. She's the host of Paradigm Shifters radio show, and she's also the author of My Near-Life Experiences, How Do I Know When I Am Really Me? And she's an explorer of new emerging humanities. She uses her gift of intuition and rapport with the realms of consciousness, loving guides and angels to create universal understandings within the murky stew of experiences. And her website is veronicaentwistle.com. And Veronica, you've got an event coming up this Sunday?
I sure do. In Everett, Washington. We all know where that is, I think, if we're in the Northwest. And I'm going to do a presentation, a book signing, and some private, or not private, with the group, sitting in a group. I'm going to do some personal question answers. So I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun and very uplifting.
Tell us a little bit about your book real quick here.
Oh, it's the story of my life, but mostly what I wanted to talk about is, first of all, I had to fight my way into becoming an intuitive, which apparently you didn't have to do.
I got trained.
But it's how close, this is the most relevant thing, I think, how close to what we really are. Like I fought having visions out of control. And when I learned how to handle them, which was with blood sugar and a whole bunch of it, like a myriad of things. I realized I was there all the time. I just had to sort of chunk off the armor, or chunk out the reactions and get to who I really was. And I've had some tremendous healing experiences even on myself, like with my knee that needed replacing, doesn't need any problem now. Things like that, by just getting deeper into who I really am. So that's what the book is about, and how talking to spirits and so on, which come up a little later than my coming apart. And, but who we really are is amazing, as you've already said. And, I think so when people say near death experience, I'm going, well, let's have a near life experience, you know?
Yeah.
And turn it into a life.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what had to die was what was not life.
Exactly. What was
not
reaction, like my identity that like a lot of us, we build an identity we think is appropriate, don't we? And it's,
and I think, and that's always consciousness at play, you know, so you can't fault it and you can't judge it, which we might want to do sometimes. And it's just an appreciation of, oh, that's the way I set this up. Oh, well, now I can let that go, you know, and move on to the next thing.
But sometimes trying to maintain your identity is what gives you anxiety. Let's swing it back to that whole thing. So I'm like, okay, it's a really important thing. You're right. It's just consciousness.
Yeah.
And humor.
And humor.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth of it? I mean, you know, there's something, you know, we won't go there, but it's okay to do that in heart space, as you appreciate all the different ways we can act out, all the different ways we can demonstrate the ability to be human.
That's right.
And, you know, and it's okay to have a feeling about that. It's okay to have a judgment about that. It's all just okay. It's part of the spectrum of things. And it's when we get so focused on in a particular viewpoint, and an emotion is a viewpoint. And as you relax that, and you bring that awareness in, then wonder is available out of the most miserable of situations.
Well, and can I share one quick little thing? I was judging myself, using your word judge. I was judging myself not that long ago, actually, and my guides came in and said, "You are a transformer. How would you be if you didn't have anything to transform?"
That's great.
And I laughed. I went, "Yeah, good point."
Yeah. Well, that's the truth of it, right?
Get off your own case. Oh, this is just what we do as humans. Right?
And that's the cosmic joke, is that no matter whatever you fight, it's like, yeah, you want more? You can have it.
Well, I think our social selves, the social identity that we were talking about, thinks that it won't get what it wants if it aligns itself with our greater aspect of who we are. And yet when our little will lines up with our greater will, everything we want actually happens. Or it happens better than we could imagine it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful, yes. So we're magical beings.
Yes.
Right, whether we want to be or not.
Which self said that, Janet?
Probably all of them.
The collective rebellious self.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
I really enjoy you too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it was delightful to have you with us, dear.
And again, if you want to find out more about Veronica, her website is veronicaentwistle.com. That's VERONICAENTWISTLE.com. And Janet, what about next week's show? Do we have a topic?
Oh, gosh. Do we, Joan?
Yes, we do, but I thought maybe you were looking at the script. So our future topic, we had mused about, unless it changes, we're going to be talking about time travel.
Oh, right. Right. Well, I lost that, so that went out in time somewhere. Yeah, which is always so powerful when you play with time. And when we realize it's an artificial construct that's useful, and then there's times when it's not, and as consciousness, there is no time. So that's the reality set we've got. And how much of us is anchored into the concept of time and past, present, and future. And I'm looking forward to that because there's going to be just all kinds of information out there.
Yeah, and so next week we'll be talking about time travel, and then the day after our show airs, Thursday, July 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, we will be having our Conscious Conference call. That's an opportunity for you all to connect with us up close and personal, listen in a small group setting and really get that feeling of heart space. And ask questions and participate that way. And you can find that out by emailing us with consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. And how about our Boeing Expo, Janet?
Well, that's going to be July 23rd up at Kent Commons, and it's an opportunity to really just check out different things. There's a lot of metaphysical. We bring consciousness technologies, which is kind of, it's a little upgrade of that. But it all comes out of heart for us, and the people there are in heart most often. And please come and join us and say hello. Let us know how you're doing, and if we can share information with you, we'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, we'll be giving sessions, and Janet's sessions are very transformative. They have a reverberative effect, so you might go, I don't feel anything, and then 3 days later you just fall flat on your face. And so that'll be the Sunday the 23rd. And also just ways to stay connected with us. Join us on Facebook, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Janet's on Facebook, Janet Barrett. I'm on Facebook, Joan Newcomb. And you can follow us on Twitter at Joan and Janet. And I'm also on Twitter at Joan Newcomb. And subscribe to us on YouTube, Conscious with Joan and Janet. Or if you go to my website, you can find out mine there too.
You know how you keep those cards and letters coming. Well, I want to thank everyone who's befriending, and connecting on LinkedIn and Facebook. And thank you very much. I always try and send out personalized birthday wishes when I have one come past my desk here. So, but that's one way to stay connected, and I really appreciate that. And join us on our Facebook page, Conscious Conversations.
Yes, we told them about that.
Okay, you did tell all that.
Yes,
I'm out of time, man.
I want to say that you've been listening to Conscious. Thank you so much for listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. It doesn't matter what time or space that you're listening to this. There is no time or space, so you helped co-create our show today. Thank you so much.
Veronica, wherever you are.
Out in outer space.
I'm still here. Thank you so much.
There she is. You're existing with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in your hearts.
You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And thanks so much for helping to co-create the show, no matter if you're listening live or on demand. You energetically contribute to our collective experience. Joan and Janet love to hear from you and invite you to email your comments and ideas for them to explore each week. Contact them at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Tune in next week for another great show, and until then, keep enjoying this wonderful adventure we call life.